This time on Going for Pro, I'm gonna fix the clutch that I put in backwards. Yeah, so let's go. If you watched the last video, let me tell you, I put the clutch in backwards. Didn't know what I was thinking, probably tired, and well, when you're tired you do dumb stuff. I should have checked it, my clutch is in backwards, and if not, there's something wrong with this company. I'm going to send them an email and tell them that they sent me the wrong clutch. This clutch should work, but I think it's my fault. It's not the company. If not, you guys will see that this clutch is wrong or in the titles. But so today I'm gonna try to tear down this Miata, leave the engine in this Miata, and try to get the transmission removed and put a new clutch inside. So what ended up happening is this is a stock clutch that I have laying around. Bunch of life still left in it, as you can tell, but when you put a clutch in, hold on, let me pull this, alright, right there. So when you put a clutch in, it's not supposed to be like this. That's why I think I did. It's supposed to be like this, which I knew that. So I think I put it in like this instead of like that. So I now have to, after finish building this car, as in putting everything in, I have to now jack it up and work underneath the car, remove 9 bolts, 9, 10, 11, I think 11 bolts from the transmission, 4 bolts from the axle. Hopefully I don't, spill a bunch of oil and grease that I just put in there, which that's $50. So I'm going to try to save that also and pull it out all by myself. So I got the car up on the jack stands. I disconnected the power because that's the first thing you want to do, because you are going to be removing the starter. I think these bolts are 15 and 16 and 15, 16 and 17 or 18 bolts. One of those three. You have 12s on the back or 10s to remove for the drive shaft, and you have the slave cylinder that's right down there that you want to remove also, and the starter. Everything else can stay. Again, I am leaving this engine inside the engine bay. I'm only removing the trans because I need to do the clutch. So I got my light down there, as you can tell, but let's get ready to do this. We're now underneath the car. The first step I'm going to do is remove this drive shaft right here. I guess I'm going to be living under here for a little bit just to get this transmission out. Drive shaft first. Again, I know you guys can't really see, lighting's junk, but I'm gonna remove this and then start on this transmission. I'm gonna have to remove that. After you remove the drive shaft, which is 4 bolts near the diff, I am going to remove 3 bolts right here on the transmission, and then 1 bolt at the very front. Out of those 2 bolts, I'm gonna remove those, or remove one, this one right here. I know it's hard to see, so I can at least swing this a little bit, and then hopefully I can start removing some of the bolts on the actual trans itself. So let's get to it, and I'll get back to you once I'm done with that part. So I ended up getting the drive shaft. As you can see, it's not there anymore. I put some gloves over the back of the transmission because I am trying to keep all the fluid that I have in there. I don't have anything stuff in there. Disconnected all 3 of the wires, so the speed sensor, and there's 4 cords that connect, so I had those disconnected. Next I need to go up top. I almost forgot to remove the right up here, the actual shifter and everything else. And well, I am now going to go up top and remove that stuff. Kind of forgot, or yeah, I wouldn't be down here right now. I'd be doing that. So gonna be doing that. Everything's disconnected like I said, and then it is starting to undo the bolts. So let me go up top and actually, well, disconnect that stuff, and I'll meet you guys right back down on the ground. Since I'm up top on the engine, since I'm already up here, I'm going to start removing some of these bolts that are hard to reach from down below. So there's a couple bolts on top that you should get. They're behind here. If you look at this engine right here that I have, 1, 2, 3, and then the starter bolts 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh my gosh, I didn't even move the camera. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You want to remove all those. It's going to be easier to undo them. So that's why I suggest I'm going to do that right now. And well, start unloosening all these bolts, and then I'll meet you guys down below and do the 4 other ones that are down below. So let's start on this. Let me get this knocked out on top because it's more difficult, and then we will remove the transmission and see what that clutch looks like. So it's already been an hour. I got all the bolts on top undone, and I got the slave cylinder undone. Yeah, I just started undoing a bunch of stuff. I undid the other bolt on the back of the differential. And then we get down here. On the back of the differential back there, I got a jack underneath the car holding up the transmission now because I only have 4 bolts left. And I have another jack holding up the connection to the differential and the transmission. So now I am going to undo those 4 bolts and hopefully slide this off without killing me. Most likely it won't, but in any case, I hope not. So I realized that the clutch came out fine. Everything's really pulled back. I got the clutch off, but come and find out the clutch was fine. I looked at it. So I was wrong throughout this video. I just read a forum saying I need to mess with my slave cylinder. So I told you I would explain everything. Well, I started working on my car. As you can tell, I literally woke up, took a shower, and got working on it. Got the transmission in, the diff back in, the clutch back in, the correct way. It was in the correct way the first time. I just didn't read a forum like I was saying. I'm going to pull that up in a little bit. I'm not good at filming myself, as you can tell, and my hair is all messed up. But it is what it is. I started getting the car done. But the main concern is the clutch was incorrectly. I think I might have, I don't know what type of failure. I just need to adjust it more. Flying Miata did a write-up. I'll show you that in a second. I'll probably put it in the link too because I don't want anybody to go through the trouble I just went through and get no results. But I think I know how to fix it. So I'm going to finish putting in the top bolts. Everything underneath is done. I did have to extend a bolt on the slave cylinder because I did strip it out a while back. I didn't think I have a bolt that would fit or thread in. It did. Good thing. So I got that threaded in, and now it is time to put the top bolts in the transmission and then start going through the procedures of getting this clutch correctly. So I'm going to finish putting the top bolts in, and then yeah, we'll go through the procedures and I'll show you guys the write-up, so stay tuned. Everything's buttoned up on top, everything's done. Back in the car, again, 12 hours later, it's back in. But I did break a wire. I don't know if you guys can see it down there, but right in, let me put this down, right in this area, right down there, I had to recreate or grab a plug from this old wiring harness that I had, and because I broke a well, the oil pressure sensor plug, that thing right there, broke that wire on that thing. I had a spare one laying around, so ended up grabbing that, putting it on. It's black, but it'll work. And with my wiring, knowing this car, if I ever have to take out that car again, I can use it. So the write-up that I was talking about, let me go up. The write-up that I was talking about on the Miata is right around here. Probably not the best quality, but for the Miata, first thing to do is to mess with the sensor on the back, so you have more of a length. It was saying in this write-up on Miata. So if you Google like Flying Miata Stage 2 clutch, it talks about this, and I should have read this before I started disassembling my car. But just peace of mind, I did look at it and it was fine. Put it back together, it's all good now. So first thing I'm going to do is go underneath and back this all the way out so I can see if I can get more length on it, so I can actually push the clutch in more. And then I already adjusted that. It worked a little bit, but not that much. Only on the first clutch push it worked. And then next is to see if it's doing that, which it is. And then next is to adjust that more and make sure it's working properly. So I'm going to get to doing that, and I'll let you know how it goes. Bad news. The clutch is working fine, everything else is working fine. I think my slave cylinder is going out, which is, sad to see, but I bought a new one, and I found one other problem. This line right here, this flexible line, is out. As you can tell, it is, let me see if I can zoom in there. It's cracking quite badly. So, and it's like expanding also. So what I'm gonna end up doing is I went to O'Reilly's and I bought some brake line. Now, same size, everything should work. Let me flip over to the other side. Everything should work. And I am going to make that plastic line or rubber line, I'm going to make it a metal line. So out of the concoction of stuff I was showing you, this is what I made. And this is the original brake line. Guess what didn't work? This. Due to this flare right now, or this flare connecting this one, it was leaking. As you can tell, it just started eating the paint off of that, which is no big deal, but it wouldn't seal. So what's going to end up happening is, and we got this from Miata, which is just a stainless steel brake line that's extended with the right fittings that we need on it, with that right there. So what I'm going to end up doing is putting this on the new brake line right there, and on this end into the actual, oh goodness, about dropped it. I'm going to put this on the actual slave cylinder, and then put the clutch in and see if this works. So after an ungodly long time of bleeding the brakes, this line's finally really stiff, and well, everything's working properly. It does not loosen up after pressing it multiple times, putting in the clutch. It's going to be stiff. I need to break it in. I realize that. As you guys also can tell, I broke this off the other day with this one. I'm going to sand it or shave it down later on. Didn't want to take the valve cover off. Till I get this car officially running, I want to run it and actually, well, test drive it. So, car's running, I'm going to put it down on the ground and move all my other cars all the way, and then take it for a test drive and see what happens. As you can tell, I got this thing moving under its own power. It's charging on its own. Everything's working. I don't know if this butterfly valve is working 100%, but I think it is. It's supposed to kick on under high RPMs, I think. I'm gonna have to double check it, but it's working. It's charging. All the lights are coming on, which are awesome. So I think it's time to go take it for a test drive, fill it up with gas. I'm just letting it warm up to see what happens, but I'll give you guys an update once I bring it back. So as you can tell, I got the Miata pulled out, and I've been driving a little bit, but I had to retard the cast back here quite a bit, almost all the way, actually all the way, and then adjust the throttle cable over here. It was just that I was idling really low. It couldn't really stop without having to give it gas, like heel toe. So I adjusted that, adjusted the cast. Forgot to plug that back in, so now it's plugged back in, and everything's mounted up, and you know that beautiful stainless steel line sitting right there. So I'm gonna go take it for another run and see what happens. Hopefully it turns out pretty good. I would expect it to, just from the tuning it in the driveway and then driving around, figure out what's wrong with it. But I'm gonna go take it for a test drive.